Welcome everyone! In this video, we are going to dive into some sleeper picks for the Ultra League Season 16 of Pokemon Go Battle League. Now, we are well into the Ultra League for this cycle. However, it will bleed into Go Battle Weekend as well as the remainder of next week's cycle. So I thought, why not get the creative juices flowing and present some Pokemon that aren't often thought about in the Open Ultra League, but have very strong play and are very effective in the meta. So without further ado, we're going to look at some very strong Pokemon that not a lot of people think about. And yeah, let's dive right in. All right, guys, up first, we've got none other than Regirock. Would you have thought about Regirock? A lot of people don't use this Pokemon. It is thoroughly underutilized in the Ultra League. It's very strong. And starting off with this stat product, guys, at 4635, it is as bulky as Giratina. That is amazing Ultra League bulk. This thing quite bulky. Not as bulky as its steel counterpart, but we actually beat our steel counterpart, known as Registeel. So this thing very strong, of course, very similar to Registeel, has lock on and some amazing nuke moves. Most notably Stone Edge with Stab, which it gets to at a very fast rate, which means that it can apply amazing shield pressure to your opponent. So let's look at this thing in the twos here. I don't generally recommend leading with it for this reason here. Pretty average in the twos, right at around a 49% win rate in the twos. That's decent, very solid. I generally like to look for 50% win rate or higher, so we're there, we're right there. And in the twos, again, I don't recommend leading with it for this reason, because when shields are up, of course, with those nuke moves, they can easily get shielded and as the battle goes on. So, but we still get some very strong wins in the twos, most notably Charizard. Holy smokes, we get a Charizard win. Anything that has play up against Charizard is very valuable in the Ultra League, as many of you can imagine. We even pick up a Gliscor victory in the twos. That is amazing, guys. Gliscor used quite a bit. We're beating Greedent in the twos, Golisopod in the twos, guys. Regirock, very good against a lot of the top tier meta that we see this season, including Registeel, its steel counterpart. Would you believe that, guys? It beats Registeel in the twos. Why? Why is that, you ask? That's because you win CMP tie as Regirock, and you get off your move before the Registeel does every time, which means that you can comfortably play out the twos and actually beat a Registeel lead if you were to lead with a Regirock. So this thing, very strong in the twos, of course. Not going to be beating the water types or anything like that. Nothing too crazy, but a very strong Pokemon overall. So let's look at it in the ones here. This is where the magic starts to unfold here. A 61% win rate in the ones. We're jumping up once those shields start getting down. We are beating Alolan Sandslash in the ones. We've got a decent win over a few of these Charmers here. Still beating Golisopod in the ones, as well as Steelix, guys. We are beating the monster, the meta wrecker known as Steelix in the ones. You don't get much better than that. And that's because you can get it to those focus blasts at a very fast rate. And with the bulk, you can withstand the onslaught coming from a Steelix in the ones. Still beating Gliscor in the ones. We're beating Greninja in the ones. Would you believe that? And no matter what, we're going to be beating Registeel no matter what, because we always win CMP tie. Of course, that's in a fresh matchup. If Registeel has a bit of an energy lead or shield advantage, things could change there. We're beating Giratina Altered in the ones. Holy smokes. So yeah, we start getting a lot more effective as the shields begin to come down. And as you can imagine, being a Regi, it is very dominant in the zeros. Holy smokes. Look at this thing in the zeros, guys. 65% win rate in the zeros. Why is no one using Regirock? because it's just not something we think about. We are very comfortable running our Charizards and Swamperts, our Giratinas, our Cresalias, but you gotta open up the mind and think outside the box sometimes to get ahead of the game. So yeah, in the zeros, we are amazing. So that means it has excellent closing potential. It can apply extremely intense shield pressure if you want to set up a very strong closer like a Charizard or a Swampert, or you can close with your Regirock. It is also an excellent closer. As with the bulk, it doesn't necessarily need shields to perform at its best. So amazing wins here in the zeros. We're beating Steelix, Registeel, Golisopod, Escavalier. That is amazing. So yeah, Regirock, the real deal, very strong, very powerful. Nothing shuts down a Charizard quite like a Regirock, guys. So yeah, this Pokemon very strong. I have featured it as well this season on the channel. So if you want to hop on the channel, take a look and see Regirock in action, feel free to do so. But yeah, this is an amazing sleeper pick that no one thinks about or uses. It's relatively inexpensive to invest in. You can just use a raid Regirock and be just fine. Yes, you'll drop off a little bit in bulk. I think a really good raid IV Regirock comes in at around 4,500 stat product, which is still amazing, guys. And with those raid IVs, all you need is the 100k dust to get that second move, and you are in business. It's one of the cheaper investments, to be honest. So yeah, definitely should be considering Regirock. Has amazing play across the meta. And with all that said, let's have a look at another sleeper pick. All right, my friends, moving right along into Clefable, another sleeper pick. It saw some increased usage when it got buffed, but the usage rate, at least from what I can see, has dropped off quite a bit, likely due to the emergence of Steelix, but with a good team, Clefable can be amazing, guys. This thing has a very solid bulk coming in at 4124. To put that into perspective for you, it's that's right around Poliwrath bulk, slightly less bulky than Poliwrath, and very close in terms of bulk to a Sandslash. So very solid, very solid bulk in the Ultra League. So this thing is an amazing closer. Performs beautifully when shields are down generally, but we'll look at the twos. Not the best in the twos. Pretty average, right around 47% win rate in the twos. And that's because it has nuke moves. But with Fairy Wind, it gets to them, much like with Regirock, it gets to them very fast. So as you can imagine, we're beating the dark types, of course, in the twos. We've got a solid victory over Poliwrath in the twos. What else are we beating here? Greninja in the twos, as well as Steelix. That, guys, I didn't look deeply into this. This is a live reaction. I'm very shocked to see that it actually beats Steelix in the twos. That is insane. That is actually kind of crazy to think about. I know it's taking only resisted damage, but it's only dishing out resisted damage, so I did not imagine it would beat Steelix in the twos. That's amazing. Beating Golisopod in the twos. I would not have guessed that either. I knew it was really good, particularly as a closer, but I did not have a close look at these the matchups in the twos here. But the matchups do begin to drop off a bit. We are losing a Cresselia, Jellicent. Actually losing a Cobalion in the twos, Tapu Fini in the twos. So yeah, those matchups do drop off, but Steelix, that was quite interesting to see. I didn't realize that. So let's look at the ones. As you can imagine, much like with Regirock, with those nuke moves, we're doing a lot better in the ones. Holy smokes, look at that, guys. In the ones, we are at a 59% win rate. That is phenomenal for Clefable here, guys. Let's look at it here. So we're maintaining all of the matchups we should be winning, but we do pick up Virizion in the ones. That's amazing, Virizion. Top tier meta. You see it all the time on just about every team. Giratina, that's amazing. Never a bad thing when we're picking up solid victories over Giratina. Let's see, what else are we picking up here? Snorlax, we don't see too much, but Greedent we do see quite a bit of, and Gliscor and Cobalion. So we do pick up that Cobalion matchup in the ones, which is fantastic. And as you can imagine, we are still losing. We actually lose to Steelix in the ones. So we beat Steelix in the twos, but we lose the ones. It's very interesting. And of course we lose to Swampert, things that are going to outpace us. We're not really going to be winning. So in the zeros, oh my gosh, dude. Oh my gosh, look at this in the zeros. 69% win rate. That is absolutely insane. Holy smokes, Clefable. A zero shield god. Oh my gosh, look at this. We are beating nearly 70% of the meta. Did you guys know that? Did you know that the win rate was that high in the zeros? So even if you lead with something like a Clefable, you can use it as a very, very strong shield pressure Pokemon to secure a shield advantage for your closer if you were to lead with it. But these, my goodness, there are very few things that Clefable loses to in the zeros. Steelix is one of them, so you do have to build around that. Still losing the Swampert in the zeros, so you have to have adequate coverage for those very strong ground and steel types, but everything else in between, holy smokes, look out, Clefable is going to dominate. So this is another sleeper pick that not a lot of people use, and a relatively inexpensive XL to get your hands on. I do believe it's only a one kilometer walk to get those XL candies, and of course, Clefable has been out for ages in the game. So, yeah, this is one to consider. An excellent closer, an excellent shield pressure Pokemon to get shields down to secure a shield advantage for your potential closer. So, yeah, Clefable, another very strong sleeper pick that we don't often think about, but my goodness, is it strong. So, yeah, that's Clefable. Let's have a look at another sleeper pick. All right, guys, we make our way now to none other than Articuno. This thing has been around for ages. It was top tier meta back in the early days of Ultra League, but it's still very good even in this modern meta. Another Pokemon that just doesn't get used. It was used a bit last season, but yeah, not being used very much this season for some reason. So yeah, very strong Pokemon. Actually has the fire coverage with Ancient Power. Not the hardest hitting move, but especially if it's a fire flying type like Charizard or Talonflame to a lesser extent, that could basically one-shot, as weak of a move as it is. So it has the coverage as well. Doesn't have steel coverage, which can hold it back a bit, but still very good. The only steel, really, I think that it truly struggles against in the meta in terms of what we actually see would be Registeel, of course, as well as A-Slash. But the others, it actually has strong play. But let's look at this here. In the twos, we're right there, right around what I generally like to see. We've got a 49% win rate. Again, I generally like to see a 50% or higher. So we're solid. We're decent in the twos. We're beating a lot of Pokemon that a lot of people are using in this modern Ultra League meta. First and foremost, Mandibuzz, we're beating Pidgeot. We're beating all of the opposing flyers. We're actually beating Virizion again on the overwhelming majority of Ultra League teams that you will see, as well as Swampert, guys. So those are huge victories that Articuno picks up. And, of course, we are beating Giratina, as you can imagine. Greedent, we're beating. So we've got a lot of solid wins here. We're beating Cresselia in the twos. So a lot of people do generally lead with Articuno because you can apply those debuffs and slowly but surely whittle away at that attack stat. So it's a decent lead option, and that's generally where I would recommend running it. So yeah, we're pretty good, pretty solid in the twos. Let's have a look at the ones here. We start rising up in terms of wins that we are picking up. We bump up to a 55% win rate. So if you lead with this thing, you can shield once. You'd probably want to shield that first move, and then from then on out, you're going to be beating more than half of the Ultra League meta, guys. We're still maintaining those grass types as well as the opposing flyers. We're picking up Charmers in the ones here as well. Grand Bull. Still maintaining Swampert, which is never a bad thing, as well as Cresselia. But we actually pick up Charizard in the ones, my friends. That is massive. Charizard, another Pokemon that is going to be on the overwhelming majority of most Ultra League teams. So, yeah, this thing putting in work in the ones. We don't beat Steelix, but it's very close. I would imagine a slight energy lead would possibly flip that matchup. And in the zeros, we're very similar to where we were in the twos. So not the best closer, but if you can secure a shield advantage, that's where things can change as a potential closer for Articuno, because you can shield up and slowly but surely get off those icy winds and take out the opponent. That would be more of an attrition game, but with a shield advantage, I think it can shine as a closer as well. Still maintaining Virizion, so we beat Virizion no matter what. That's amazing. We're beating Giratina no matter what, if you can imagine. So very, very solid wins in the zeros, seemingly getting a lot of the wins that count most because, Virizion, Giratina, those are Pokemon they're going to be on just about every Ultra League team that you encounter. So that's Articuno, guys. Another sleeper pick that we don't often think about. Very, very strong Pokemon with very, very good bulk as well, guys. And another one of those legendaries, much like Regirock, where all you need is that 100,000 to get the second move, and you're in business. If it's a raid, still maintains that bulk. You'll drop down a little bit, but still very solid bulk overall. So yeah, that's Articuno, and that about wraps it up, my friends, for some sleeper picks that we don't often think about for the Ultra League in Season 16. Again, we are currently well into the Ultra League cycle, but it will bleed into Go Battle weekend this coming weekend, as well as the remainder of next week's cycle. So wanted to get the creative juices flowing for a lot of you that are looking to think outside the box. So these are some strong ones that I would seriously consider running, and you may see me run them on the channel. You never know. But guys, I had a blast. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, I thank you for watching, and keep up the grind. Thank you, guys.